What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to show you how I did my repairs for this Dunlap scroll saw and its motor. So I just wanted to talk a second about how I got to this final product. It started out with the same dude who I got the joiner from. He said, yeah, the joiner was 15 bucks. But so was this guy. That was included as well. Both of them didn't have motors. You saw that in my other joiner video. So, in the pursuit of finding cheap and durable motors, I started to tear this guy apart and get everything cleaned, get all the rust off, all the, superficial stuff. And then I found this guy. 10 bucks. The dude said 10 bucks. I was looking at it for a little bit. And it came with the motor that's on here, which is this guy right here. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But this guy looks really cool, and it had so much grime. I don't know what this guy was doing with it, but it was stored away for a long time, it seemed like, because it was filthy. It was awful. Didn't realize that I really liked this hexagon base, and it was rusty as all get out. But little TLC. Tried to bust a lot of the rust with just some degreaser, Scotch-Brite pads. I did a lead test on the paint, and it came out fine. The unfortunate thing about that is that I did a lead test on all the goo and grime and resin from the wood or whatever it was, right? So then once I realized that this was a Power King scroll saw, I took the lead tester again, and it came out pink. So I was like, probably going to stop using the Scotch-Brite. Luckily, I was wearing a respirator, which, safety. So that was cool. But then I just kind of stopped on this guy. Because also, if you look down here, there's got to be a spring that goes here or something. Because this thing just doesn't, like the crank will move, right? You see that? This crank moves, and there's got to be some sort of tension on here in order to get your scroll in action, right? But I kind of let this one go by the wayside, and even still I'm having a hard time letting it go because A, I'm like a mini hoarder, but also I just really love, like, I want to do something else with, maybe getting this repaired, or at least finding somebody who's going to give it the love. At least some love, man, just a little bit of love. A little bit's enough. I took the motor from this guy after, like I said, I was busting the rust with degreaser, vinegar solution, neutralized that. And then I used my sand blaster, which is just sand in a bottle. And then I just shook it up, and that was my sanding cabinet, if you can. Yeah, so, alright, anyways, let's talk about this motor. This motor was in pretty good shape. I got the belt. The belt has a little bit of memory to it because it's been, there, you see that? There's the memory spot. But even still, I mean, it's a good belt. There's no dry rotting to it. It's in pretty good shape, so I said, why not use it? The pulley, I used just the pulley that the Dunlap came with. This one came, obviously, with this machine, and then I have the other part of this pulley just in storage, just off of that hexagonal Power King. But this guy was in pretty good shape. The housing and everything were fine. Again, it needed a cord because every time I buy, equipment where there's a motor involved, it's either clipped, or it's dry rotted, or it's just like so old that, it's electrically unsafe. So I put a grounding cord on this. The only thing that was really bizarre to me was this little guy right here. These are oil wicks, and I can put a clip of how I got that situated coming up.
All right, got my wicks in the mail. Well, just one long wick. Dude named John or something. But there we go. I got this guy in here. It's got a little bit of soakage. Got it to where this guy will just fit up in the housing, bloop, and then it'll just wick goodness. Looks a little crummy. Been grilling, been on the smoker this morning, but smoking and soaking. I'm gonna soak this bad boy in some oil, and we'll get them lubed up. Get it slippery up in there. Now that we got the motor situated with the new lubricant and the wicks, I got it wired up as well. I had, what was it? It was black, red was the wiring scheme for the previous wire that was very much electrically sound. It was not. So, trying to do a little bit of research as to what the old nomenclature used to be as far as, well, maybe not nomenclature, but just the wiring-ness. So I got white, black, ground. All right. So I got it corded up to my thingy with a switch. I have it plugged in over there. I got it lubed. I've been letting it sit for a little bit, over an hour or so, I'd say, so that the lube can do its lubiness moves. Maybe. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, action. Ooh. All right, that didn't really jump too much either. So that's cool. That looks pretty nice. All right, let's turn that off. Let's wind it down. All right, that's cool. That's cool. All right, all right. So it's got that. There's no start capacitor on here, which I kind of find weird. But it did have a situation where. Sorry, I was fixing my clock. When you take off the back end bell, it's like, but it looks weird. It's like it has its own little start winding like you see on an induction motor or a universal motor, like for a fan or whatever. Like a little copper, not like a little copper coil, but a little copper plate. It's kind of funky. So I was like, well, I guess that's just what it's doing. And it's got start windings wired inside. And then it has another separate winding going into the back panel right here, which I got the nuts out, right? They're 3/8 inch nuts on the inside. Just made myself a little note. But yeah, man, there it goes. Didn't really find a lot of information with the Sunny Line Appliance Incorporated Detroit, Michigan SPAC motor. Even with the model on it, came up as a blank. I didn't really figure out what was going on with these pots until I did some research about my fan. And it was like the old GE Westinghouse fans from the 40s, 50s, I guess. Whatever the dude was repairing. He was like, yeah, man, they got wicks in here. They last forever. Better than any plastic mumbo jumbo you're going to buy at the big box store nowadays. So I was like, cool, man, I'm going to get them wicks. Which is what you saw earlier. So there you go. Stand. I got everything situated. All I did was I put the guy here. This is just the original base that it came with. And then I wedged it into this guy. I put a support right here on the bottom. And then this leg is shorter than this leg. For this side, for both left and left, shorter than the right. So that I could just screw here, and then the base is on there like so. I got the motor. Oh, here's the, I just keep this handy. This is the manual. I just stick it underneath there. Pulleys, motor situated below. It's on a stand, and then I'll probably stick another shelf down there below, or like a little tray or something. Another little handy thing is I like to keep stuff handy. This is the wrench that'll go to the oil reservoir. And then I got this little bar right here. But if I need to change out the blade or whatever, then I can always just kind of stick that bad boy in there. That way I have something handy so it keeps it down below. So what I'm going to try to do next is I got this little laser cut Texas. And I did this whenever I was still with Tech Shop. I want to stick it on a piece of wood. And then I want to cut out a second one of these because I don't have a laser cutter anymore.
Get it, baby, get it, get it.
Let's get it right. Let's start it right on the Houston. It broke. That's stupid. So I have a couple of updates since we broke the blade last time. So, one thing, after perusing the interweb, was that the blades, like where the installation nut is, they have the little L-shaped bracket. I sanded those bad boys down with a stone so that I get those real flat. That way it catches the blade better, because it was like all kinds of crumbed up, nicked, and all this kind of stuff. I don't really think that it was doing too well. I also got rid of this screw because the fastener that was on there was bent, and I think it's because the person who did it last time, just the jack in action, like bent the screw, so it was really hard to get in and out. I filed down, the rod's there, all well and good. Now the manual says that whenever you're setting your blade, you have to have the piston at the full up position, and then you jack this guy down 5/8 of an inch, which I use these nuts. These are for like 1/4 inch nuts. I used 2 of these, put this down, stuck my bar in. So I stuck 2 nuts, that was too much. Then it wasn't getting the pumping action it needed. So I wound up just using 1 nut and the bar. 1 nut, 1 rod. Stuck it in here, readjusted. I got the tension here pretty good. And now you'll see I got full stroke. Let me stroke it a little bit. See? You see that stroke in action? That's pretty good. Anyways, other thing that I did here is that I moved this guy out of the way. I just, if I need the blade guides, that's great, but otherwise, I'm just gonna have it out of the way. That way I can just kind of get comfortable with my machine. So just so I can show you, I'm gonna stick my nut and my rod in the hole, take it to the full up position. There we go. That way, I can move that over. This guy slides out. All right, so just to give you a side-by-side, this is my laser cut Texas machine, machine in person, programmed by person, cut by person.
Not too bad. I think that looks pretty good for an initial. Oops, let's focus here.
Let's try that again. I think that looks pretty good for my initial scroll saw action. I'm pretty happy with that. So how did I do? Let me know in the comments. Peace.